global citizens, welcome to the Rebirth of Africa movement channel, where we believe that the 21st century is an African century, and in this century, Africa is going to lead the world. Welcome once again, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Today, I'm going to look at a very controversial topic about the land program in Zimbabwe, or the land question in Zimbabwe. What is happening right now is that the white farmers, you remember the white farmers who were displaced from their land in Zimbabwe in the early 2000s, they've decided to approach President Donald Trump and ask him to help them to recover 3.5 billion US dollars as compensation, which the Zimbabwean government promised them. The Zimbabwean government promised them 3.5 billion dollars. Unfortunately, the Zimbabwean government has not honored their promise. Okay, let me take you back a little further, because the land issue in Zimbabwe have got a history behind it. So you will not understand unless you capture the context of the story. So I'm going to give you a summary of what happened. In the year 1890, the white settlers, they came to Zimbabwe with Cecil John Rhodes, a British man called Cecil John Rhodes, and they occupied Zimbabwe. When they occupied Zimbabwe, there was a resistance from some African in Zimbabwe, and they used force to conquer and to occupy Zimbabwe. They used force, and the land was taken forcibly. Many black Africans were killed. Some were driven to lands which are not fertile. They were displaced from their lands. Their cattle, their goats, their sheep, whatever they had, it was taken by force by the white settlers. And then we fast forward to the year 1980. It's an important year in the history of Zimbabwe. In 1980, Zimbabwe got independence from Britain and from the white settlers. When Zimbabwe got independence, they did not get back the land due to some reasons, due to some agreements which were done at the Lancaster House Conference in London in 1979. So they'd made some agreements, so they could not take the land. And also the British government had promised to pump some money to help to compensate the whites. And there was also a clause which they called the willing buyer, willing seller clause. So using that clause, the white farmers were not willing to sell their land. And the situation stayed like that until the year 2000. In the year 2000, the black Africans, they started to say, no, we want the land. The reason we went to war was to take back our land so that we can have our land again and control our land. This did not sit well with the white farmers, because they were not willing to part with the land, because they also claimed that it is their land. They are also citizens of Zimbabwe. And what happened after is that Mugabe, the war veterans, they ordered an invasion of the white farmers. The white farmers were invaded, white farmers were beaten, some were killed, they were driven off their land, their properties were taken, their tractors, their cars, everything was taken. And the war veterans under ZANU-PF took back the land, the farms. Unfortunately, this program, it created a new elite, a black elite, because they shared the land among themselves. The masses did not benefit much, because the land was shared between their families, their friends, and some with their girlfriends. So what happened is that we all know this story. that Bona Mugabe, the firstborn of President Robert Mugabe, she owns 25 farms. As I'm talking right now, she owns 25 farms. One individual is owning 25 farms. And the former vice president of Zimbabwe, Joyce Mujuru, former vice president of Zimbabwe, she owns 16 farms. And Robert Mugabe's wife, Grace Gucci Mugabe, she owns about 10 farms. So this is what happened. They shared among themselves. Let us now fast forward. Okay, before we fast forward, this angered the international community and they put sanctions on Zimbabwe, and the economy of Zimbabwe, it fell down. Also, those farms which were taken, nothing was done to maintain the production which was going on in those farms, and the production went well. Zimbabwe, which used to be a bread basket of Africa, it became beggars in Africa, because those who took the farms, they did not have the expertise to run those farms. And also the sanction added, and the economy of Zimbabwe, it fell drastically. Okay, let us go to 2017. In November 2017, we find ourselves in a situation where there is a new sheriff in Zimbabwe, a new president in Zimbabwe. There was a coup against Robert Mugabe, and the army decided to put Emmerson Mnangagwa as the president, who is still the current president up to now. Now, here's the story. Emmerson Mnangagwa wanted to better relationships with the Western nations and the white farmers. He wanted a better relationship so that the sanctions could be lifted off. So what did Mnangagwa do? He promised in 2018, he promised that he's going to compensate the white farmers. He promised to give them $3.5 billion as compensation. Unfortunately, up to now, January 2026, the white farmers have not received their 3.5 billion. And this leads us to our story today. The white farmers have decided to escalate the issue to President Donald Trump. And they are saying to Trump, help us to recover our 3.5 billion from the Zimbabwean government. Is Donald Trump going to help them? We are going to see whether Donald Trump is going to help them. But remember also that Donald Trump is having an issue with South Africa because of the white farmers in South Africa. The white farmers in South Africa, they approached Donald Trump and claimed that there is a genocide in South Africa, a genocide against white farmers in South Africa. Allegations which cannot be proved to be true. Nobody can prove that it is true. So what happened? Trump took some white Afrikaners to America. He gave them refuge in America, and Trump summoned Ramaphosa and his delegation to the White House. And when he summoned them, he demanded to know why they are killing white farmers. And Ramaphosa said it is a lie. No white farmer is being killed. Although they tried to negotiate, to do whatever they did, the situation is still tense between Washington and Pretoria. The relationship between America and South Africa is not looking good, and some analysts, they think that the Western nations are going to sanction South Africa the way they did to Zimbabwe. So now that the white farmers of Zimbabwe have consulted Donald Trump looking for help, what is Donald Trump going to do? Is Donald Trump going to help? And also among the black population, there are different groups and different opinions. Some, they believe that the land was taken forcibly. Some believe that when whites came to Zimbabwe and to Africa, they didn't buy any land. They took it by force, so they are also taking by force. They are just taking what belongs to them. So they are saying it's wrong to pay people who didn't pay for the land. They just took the land and killed our ancestors. So what do you think? Do you think Donald Trump is going to act? Do you think the Zimbabwean government is going to honor their promise? And do you think that it is good to compensate for the land, or the land must be taken without compensation? What do you think? What do you think? As you watch me, what do you think? Thank you for tuning in. Please don't leave without a subscription. We need your subscription. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Meet you next time. I am the Rebirth Apostle. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.